It's got 8 stops in 8 minutes. It's great for rail fanning, and despite being the shortest tram line in Munich, it has some good grade separation and runs mostly in a dedicated right-of-way. Come and ride Tram Line 23 and find out why one of Munich's newest tram lines might just also be one of its best. First off, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And of course, Happy Tramuary. January, but with trams. Or Tramjahr for my German-speaking viewers. I'm doing a month of focusing on specifically light rail content. More of this at the end of the video though. But for now, here's me outside Münchner Freiheit station on U-Bahn lines U3 and U6, which also happens to be the southern terminus of Tram Line 23. Hello from Münchner Freiheit. I'll be taking the Tram 23, which is right behind me, up to Schwabing Nord. Haven't done this one before, so should be interesting. As I mentioned in the intro, this line is extremely short, only about 3 kilometers or 1.8 miles long. It runs from Münchner Freiheit, where I'll be boarding, to Schwabing Nord. From Münchner Freiheit, the line runs in the median of Leopoldstrasse up to Potsdamer Strasse and Parzivalplatz, before leaving the median to serve Schwabinger Tor. From here onwards, the line runs in its own right-of-way, serving Am Münchner Tor, Annie Alberstrasse, Domagstrasse, and Schwabing Nord. At both ends of the line, trams have to go around turning loops because Munich trams only have doors on the right side of the vehicle. The one at Münchner Freiheit is particularly well designed, as it's off to one side of the street, is covered, and has a direct entrance into the mezzanine of the U-Bahn station of the same name below. I'll be getting off at various spots to explore the line, so let's get started. The modern Tram Line 23 opened on December 13th, 2009, though the history of the route numbering goes back to 1935, when Tram 23 started operating from Kölner Platz over to Parzivalplatz and then down to Danziger Freiheit, earlier just called Feilitzplatz and nowadays called Münchner Freiheit, and along Leopoldstrasse and Ludwigstrasse to Odeonsplatz, before turning west to reach München Hauptbahnhof, or Munich Central Station, and other parts of the city. The only part of the route shared with modern Tram 23 is the section from Parzivalplatz to Danziger/Münchner Freiheit. Sometimes part or all of the historic Line 23 ran during peak times only throughout different periods of the line's history, and the routing west of Hauptbahnhof changed over time as well, though the furthest west the tram route ever reached was Romannplatz. The number 23 was used here consistently until 1943, before being used in 1944 for a shortened version of its route on the west side of the city. The electric tram line that reached closer to the modern Tram 23, however, was heavily damaged during World War II, to the point where electric tram service was not possible. So one track was cleared for a steam-hauled shuttle train to operate back and forth between just short of Danziger Freiheit and Odeonsplatz, taking on the line number of the Roman numeral 5. This steam locomotive-hauled train couldn't go any further because of the borrowed mainline rolling stock not being able to make it around the tight curves along the line past these points. In 1945, the number 23 stopped being used entirely, and the route number was lost after the war. Electric tram service eventually returned here, however, and Münchner Freiheit saw tram service until 1971, with the opening of U-Bahn line U6. But on December 13, 2009, Münchner Freiheit saw its first in-service tram since the opening of the U-Bahn, when a newly built tram line opened as what we know today as Line 23, a tram route number that hadn't been used since World War II, except for a few years in the 70s on a completely different line north from Scheidplatz. And with all that history, that brings us to Parzivalplatz, which is where a connecting track branches off to connect Line 23 to the rest of the Munich tram network, a track which nowadays sees Line 12 trams, which now interline with Line 23 up to Schwabing Nord. So I'm at Parzivalplatz, which is a median station that also allows buses to serve it, so there's this nice pavement. And buses will also stop here because outside you just have the street, bike lane, sidewalks. You know, Leopoldstrasse is one of the major streets in towards downtown, but honestly, land use along this whole section seems to be pretty good, even though traffic on here can be awful sometimes. I then hop on a tram to go a couple stops up the line. We leave the median of Leopoldstrasse and head through Schwabinger Tor, a stop I'll come back and explore more later. From there, we enter our own dedicated right-of-way, which used to be home to a branch line for freight trains. Compared to most of Munich's tram network, having a right-of-way like this is pretty unusual. There's lots of green trackage, and the line just kind of blends into the trees and shrubbery around it. Shortly after, we arrive at Am Münchner Tor, right before trams cross a bridge over Munich's Middle Ring Road. Not everything on this part of the line is grade separated, though, but there's a bridge here and an underpass at Domagstrasse, another busy street. Oh, and it's great for watching trams go by. Then again, everything north of Parzivalplatz on this line is good for that. So at am Münchner Tor, which grammatically really hurts to say because is already a conjunction for at the, but anyway. We have a nice little bridge that crosses over one of the ring roads around the city, and then very nice green trackage surrounded by woods. Very nice environment, very good land use as well. I very much like these low-rise apartment buildings, but also we have what I assume is an office building, which there tend to be a bunch of these around this part of Munich, so makes a lot of sense to have it served by a nice high-capacity tram. And of course we have digital signage, which is super helpful. So I'm very much, despite it being kind of rainy right now, very much a fan of this little tramway through the woods. Very pretty, very cool to rail fan, if you could call this that. But, good bike access, nice bike trail, bike control signs, which are really neat. And yeah, honestly, one of the nicest tram stations to think of Munich. Look, they got control cities, or destinations at least, for bikes. And we got the best seats. Best seats of the tram. After some great views at the back window of the tram, a benefit of having a driver's cab at only one end, I end up at the end of the line at Schwabing Nord. Alright, so this is Schwabing Nord, a part of Munich I have never been to. Alright, granted, I've been through on that overpass back there, but I've never actually wandered about here at all. So this platform is just for deboarding, and then over there we've got a nice bike rental station for MVG Rad, which is just the transit agency's bike, bike sharing station. And then bike racks you to park your bike, because you cannot take your bike on the tram. And I just double checked on Google Maps. Apparently the entire Line 23 tram takes less than 10 minutes to ride. Yeah, that's kind of funny. So by the time you get to Schwabing Nord, you're already sharing tracks with Tram 12. And Tram 12 runs all the way from here, right next to Frankfurter Ring at Schwabing Nord to Romannplatz, which is kind of over near Schloss-Nymphenburg on the western side of Munich. So it's kind of not a radial route, but it's more of a peripheral, which Munich has some good bus lines to do that, but the 12 is a pretty good tram line that does it. And that yellow tram might look familiar with the yellow ads. As the tram is only about 8 minutes long, the tram route's only 8 minutes long, I think there's like 3 vehicles on the line. And I keep seeing them over and over. And the drivers are probably thinking, what am I doing? After some time here, I board a Line 12 tram to go one stop back to Domagstrasse, simply because it was the first tram that was going to leave. They're interlined anyway. So I was walking back along the line a little bit to just get some good rail fanning shots. I'm already a decent way down the line, and I'm only like one stop in. You could honestly walk this whole thing, and it wouldn't be that unreasonable. I'm a big fan of these chicane type things where they're like, you cannot walk or bike in a straight line. It's really for bikers, I think, so they don't just, blaze through here. Because there's no lights or warning signs or anything. I mean, other than this one that's just like, there is a tram here. Watch out. I mean, seriously, with the line right there and a path right here, this is one of the most rail fannable tram lines in Munich. It's like scenic, not like a city tram. Those are all very easily watchable. I'll let you guess why. But the ones that go a little further out, this is a lot easier to rail fan than the 25. Here's that same bridge as before. It's got a whole pedestrian and bike side of it too. There's the ring road, or one of the ring roads. But you know what? Keeps traffic out of downtown. I'm not complaining. And of course they made provisions for cyclists and pedestrians, so everyone's happy. Munich does have quite a car culture. A lot of people drive. But it also has phenomenal transit. Schwabinger Tor is a neat stop as it's in a little pedestrian square where the tram line transitions from running in a median to running in its own right-of-way. I believe there is parking here, and I think it's underground, which is a very interesting thing for a tram stop. I also think it just doubles as a normal parking garage. Very, very nice little pedestrianized area. As you can see on the sign over here, it says Autofreies Quartier. That's car-free neighborhood, which is lovely to see. I mean, I'm not all for, banning cars everywhere, but little neighborhoods like this where, you have good transit, good bike and pedestrian infrastructure, you don't need a car. And honestly, they have an underground parking garage that goes onto the buildings anyway. So really, having a road street here for cars would be kind of redundant. So, Schwabinger Tor, 10 out of 10 tram stop, really. Good environment, good pedestrian environment. This nice park, you can take your bike. You've got restaurants, there's a whole... I don't know if it's apartments or an office complex. Probably both, honestly. There's definitely some more density behind it. And top of all that, you got a grocery store, you got a bakery, cafe, lots of stuff. So now that we've traveled the whole line and then some, why is Line 23 such a great tram line? For one, trams move at a decent pace. There isn't mixed traffic running with regular cars that could cause delays, and the dedicated right-of-way and selective grade separation from back when the freight trains ran through here make it way easier to build a straighter, more direct line for trams with higher allowable speeds. Because so much of the line isn't in a street, stops can be integrated into pedestrian plazas and sidewalks without the need for passengers to have to cross any lanes of traffic. And it just meshes so well with its surrounding urban environment. Line 23's dedicated right-of-way it shares with Line 12 has some nice, calm paths for cyclists and pedestrians, standing in stark contrast to the busyness of Münchner Freiheit. And plenty of plant life also calls this corridor home. It's also kind of just such a simple line. Other than Schwabinger Tor and Münchner Freiheit, stops are simple, straightforward, and appropriate for a tram line of this size. There's only one vehicular grade crossing along the dedicated right-of-way, but other than that, there aren't really any signals or warning lights. Line 23 really just seems like it's trying to blend transit with nature, along with pedestrian and cycling infrastructure, and I think that's pretty great. And apparently there must be plenty of other people who are fans of this line as well, because there's even been some discussion of extending it further north. With all that being said though, Line 23 is probably my second favorite tram line in Munich, close closely following behind line 25. Come on, I love a good interurban. But let me know what you think of this line in the comments. Have you ridden it or something similar? Or is there another tram line in Munich that you like better? As with every video, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Now for a quick explanation of Tramuary, as promised. Throughout this month, I'll be releasing videos focusing on light rail transit, and some of my fellow transit content creators are participating as well by releasing their own videos. And if you want to make a video and participate too, feel free. It's not a contest, but feel free to let me know if you make something. You can tag me, use hashtag Tramuary, or send an email to the channel email. Maybe I'll even have some honorable mentions at the end of the month. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see y'all soon.